You are standing at the edge of a plain. It has no end. It stretches before you, flat and dark. The earth itself has gone still. Above you, the sky is absolute night. No moon. The stars are there, but they are different from the stars you know. Older, colder. They hang at distances so vast, they do not flicker. They simply burn, steady and white in the blackness above. Each one holds its place with ancient certainty. These stars have been here since before the word for star existed. They were arranged before there were eyes to see them. You know, looking at them, that these are the stars of the world's beginning. They burn with the same cold light through all the ages of the world, indifferent, perfect, entirely themselves. The ground beneath your feet is frost-hard, dark. It is the soil of a winter so long. It has become simply the condition of the world. You can see your breath, not in clouds exactly, only the faintest silver at the edge of each exhale, barely there, a ghost of warmth meeting the cold. It dissolves before it can fully form. It returns to the air that made it. You feel the cold on your face, on your hands, but it is not the cold of discomfort. It is the cold of a world made cold, a world that is cold by nature, a world that does not apologize for its nature. The cold holds you. It holds everything on this plane, equally, without preference, without malice. Your shoulders are down, your jaw is loose. You have been walking for a long time. You have come to the place where the walking ends. The ground gives, very slightly, under each step. The surface is hard, crystalline, cold, but something below it remembers summer. You stand steady, feet on ancient earth. This is Midgard, the middle place, the home of people like you, the ordinary world made strange and beautiful by what surrounds it. Far ahead of you, far enough that distance has lost its meaning, something stands against the sky. You can't say how you know it's a tree. There are no other trees on this plane, no other shapes, nothing to measure it against, but you know, the way you know things in certain dreams, before the dream gives you language, before the mind catches up to what the deeper self already understands. You know it the way you know the ocean, before you see the water, the way you know, waking in the dark, that something has shifted, that something in the quality of the night has changed. The body registers it first, a presence at the horizon, something that isn't the horizon, something rising from the dark, dense as mountains, but reaching, growing, alive. Yggdrasil, the world tree. The name comes, not from memory, from somewhere deeper than memory, from the same place that knows water when it sees it, that knows fire before it burns you, that knows the ocean from the faintest trace of salt in the air. You know the name the way you know your own name in a dream, with absolute certainty and no need to explain. It stands at the center of everything. Everything curves away from it in all directions, all the 9 worlds, all the 9 realms, arranged around that single point, like the spokes of a wheel around its hub, like the ribs of a great body around its spine, like the fingers of an open hand around the wrist, all things beginning there, in the bark and the roots and the branches of the ash tree, at the world's axis, and you are here, at the outermost rim, on the frost-dark plain of Midgard, looking toward the center of all things. You begin to walk toward it. Your footsteps make almost no sound. The frozen ground gives almost nothing back. Each step, a small, muffled thing, not silence, but close to it, the sound of weight meeting something barely yielding, barely there. The air is very still. Everything in this landscape seems to hold its breath, or it has breathed out completely, and found no need to breathe in again. The quiet here isn't empty. It is the quiet of something enormous, attending to itself, the way a great sleeping animal is quiet, the way the deep ocean floor is quiet, not absence, presence. A presence so complete it has no need of sound, no need to announce itself. You walk. The tree doesn't seem to grow closer, not in the way things usually grow closer, when you walk toward them. Here, distance works differently. You walk. The walking is enough. The arriving will happen when it happens. The cold is steady. The stars are steady. The plain stretches on, and the tree waits at the center, as it has always waited, as it will always wait. The plain changes as you move across it. At first, the change is subtle. The frost grows thicker. The ground shifts slightly under your feet. Small features appear where the land was flat before. You pass what might be stone outcroppings. They are not quite stone, formations that rise at angles from the frozen earth. Their surfaces are smooth. That smoothness suggests long exposure to something patient. Some geological memory of upheaval lives here. These spans of time are so large, they become indistinguishable from peace. You step around them without thinking. They are part of the terrain, and you are part of the terrain. Neither of you has anywhere more urgent to be. The sky above you has been doing something. You've only now begun to notice it. The stars are not moving. They don't move here the way stars move at home. Here, they are fixed. But the darkness between them has been changing. It deepens. It moves from the dark of a clear winter sky to something older, something more complete, a darkness that is the original darkness, the darkness that was here before light came to interrupt it, and out of that darkness, from the direction you are walking, something begins to emerge. Not light, something that existed before light, was separated from darkness, a quality of visibility that belongs to the world of the deep dream, where the mind's eye and the body's eye are the same. You can see in this way without seeing. What you see is the tree, becoming more itself against the sky. The mass of it clarifies out of the dark, the way a face clarifies out of sleep, the way a word rises to the surface from a place below thought. Yggdrasil is becoming visible, not because you are closer, though you are closer. You are always getting closer. One step follows the last, patient like water finding its way downhill. Yggdrasil does not wait to be found. It presents itself when the time is right. When you have walked far enough into the quiet, when the ordinary world has fallen away behind you, when there is room, at last, for the real world to appear. And now, it appears. The trunk rises from the plain. It rises far ahead of you, and for a moment you don't understand what you're seeing. You think, at first, it's a mountain range, a dark mass on the horizon, something geological, something that belongs to the earth, the way mountains belong to the earth, by sheer, indomitable weight. Then you understand. It rises, it keeps rising. It does not stop where mountains stop. It doesn't find its limit at any altitude you can see. The thing on the horizon is not the horizon at all. It's the base of something that extends upward. Further than the eye can follow, it continues into a darkness. Above the darkness, it reaches the canopy, where the 9 worlds live. You stop walking for a moment. Not from fear. You know there is no fear here. Or rather, whatever fear you carried, it left you. Back at the edge of the plain, it left you the way unnecessary weight leaves you. When you've been walking long enough, what stops you now is something else, something closer to the feeling at the rim of a great canyon, or at the shore of the open ocean at night, the feeling of scale, recalibrating inside you, your body's sense of its own size, quietly adjusting, making room for something vastly, permanently larger than anything it has tried to contain before. It is not an unpleasant feeling. It is, in fact, a relief. The world is so much larger than anything you carry. Whatever you came here holding, it was heavy in you. It was in your shoulders. It was tight in your chest and in the back of your jaw, where tension lives when you are not noticing it. It is a very small thing now. Small in a world that contains Yggdrasil. Standing at the edge of an ocean, bedroom worries feel briefly right-sized. Standing here at the world tree, things become the right size. Your body relaxes without your instructing it to. You breathe in the cold air, slow, full. You breathe out slowly. Your breath dissolves into the dark before it becomes anything visible. Your feet are steady on the frozen ground. You are not being called anywhere. You are not needed anywhere else. Here, on the frost-dark plain, there is nowhere else to be, nowhere else you were ever going. This is the direction you have always been traveling, whether you knew it or not. The plain behind you was always leading here. All the walking you have ever done was always, at some level, toward this. You drift and breathe. You begin walking again. The tree grows as you approach, slowly, with the patience of something very, very old. Each step brings the trunk a little more into focus. The bark is a color between black and gray, the color of old iron left in weather, bark that has been growing long enough to develop its own topography, its own valleys, its own ridges and channels, its own mountain ranges in miniature running up the sides of the trunk, millennia to develop its character. The roots begin to appear at ground level. They rise out of the plain like the backs of sleeping creatures, like arches of stone curving back into the earth, roots as wide as rivers. The largest ones seem small from a distance until you come closer. Then they become enormous. They become a terrain unto themselves. They reshape the frozen ground around them. They channel the frost into new patterns. The roots do not merely emerge from the ground. The roots are what the ground becomes when it has been long enough in the company of the tree. The distinction has lost its meaning. The air changes as you enter the root field. Colder, quieter, a cold that carries something mineral and ancient, the cold of stone that has never seen sunlight, the cold of the deepest places of the earth, and under the cold, almost below the threshold of smell, something alive, the alive smell of a living thing, so large and so old that its aliveness has its own climate, it creates its own weather, it breathes its own breath into the air around it. You breathe this in, you feel it moving into your lungs, into your blood, into the cells of you, and breathing it, you feel that you are closer to the center of things, closer than you have ever been in your ordinary waking life. You reach the trunk at last. It does not announce itself. The transition is gradual. Roots and trunk, they are not separate things. They emerge from each other. One becomes the other. The trunk becomes roots. The roots become trunk. The boundary shifts and blurs the closer you look. There is a moment when you understand. You are standing beside the trunk itself. That moment is not dramatic. It is simply when the bark beside you goes up without end, down into the earth without end. It stretches in both directions around you. You cannot see the curve of it. You cannot see where it curves away. The trunk at its base is too wide. No angle you could stand at would reveal it. It is like standing next to a cliff face, trying to see the cliff. You place your hand on the bark. The bark is cold, not the cold of stone, something different, something with a warmth inside it, or beneath it, very far inside, a warmth that is being contained, not expressed, held. The tree's life is in there, moving through channels you cannot see, moving at a pace you cannot register. Slowly, the way sap moves in deepest winter, finding its way through the heartwood, along paths open for thousands of years. You feel the tree through your palm, the way you might feel a pulse, pressing your hand above something enormous, not the pulse itself, but the suggestion of one. The knowledge of a life so large, its heartbeat is measured in seasons. The bark under your hand is rough, then within the roughness, rough in new ways. Deep furrows run vertically up the trunk, some wide enough to slot your fingers into. Ridges rise between them, crossed with horizontal cracks. The whole surface, a record of growth, of stress, of settling. The autobiography of something that has been growing and contracting and growing again. Across spans of time so long, any single year is too small to leave a distinct mark. There are runes in the bark. They are not carved, not the product of human effort, not human intention. They are grown in, part of the bark's own pattern, but not accidental. These are the runes that Odin hung 9 nights to learn, 9 nights without food or water, pierced by his own spear, hung upon the tree, a sacrifice of himself, to himself, the highest God, making himself a gift to the deeper wisdom the tree holds, trading his certainty for knowledge that cannot be transferred any other way. The runes were here before he came. They have always been here. They are in the bark of the world tree. The way growth rings are in the wood, built in, inseparable from the structure, a record not of what was done to the tree, but of what the tree is. They hum, not with sound the ear can receive directly, but with something the body receives, as though it were sound, a frequency just below hearing, a vibration that enters through your palm, moves up your arm, into your chest, and sits there, quiet and full and humming, like a bowl that has been struck and holds the note. You stand with your hand on the bark, and you breathe. In, out, slow. The runes hum. The cold holds everything steady. The roots go down into the earth. They spread in every direction around you. The trunk goes up into the sky. It spreads in every direction above you. You are held between 2 infinities, held up by the roots, held steady by the air, held here, at this moment, by your own hand on the bark. Your breath moves in and out. Your body is warm in a cold world. You lean against the trunk. The trunk supports you. It has supported everything that has ever leaned against it. It has supported the weight of gods and giants. It has supported the curiosity of serpents. It has held the patient observation of eagles, the quick, chaotic transit of a squirrel. That squirrel ran messages between the extremes. Your weight is the smallest thing this trunk has held. It holds you as easily as it holds the worlds, without effort, without acknowledgement, simply by being what it is. You let your back rest against the bark. The bark presses against the place between your shoulder blades. Tension lives there. The tension does not tighten further. It begins, slowly, to give. The roughness of the bark is not uncomfortable. It is present. It is real. It tells your body that the tree is here. The support is actual. The holding is not metaphor. The rune hum enters you through the back of your ribs. It sits in the cage of your chest. It keeps its quiet note. Your breath slows. Your eyes soften. You are leaning against the oldest living thing. It lives in all the 9 worlds. You are here on the darkest night. You are at the center of everything. And this is enough. This is, in fact, more than enough. This is the kind of enough that makes every not enough seem small. It seems temporary. It seems very far away and very small. There is a path downward, not a path that was cut or cleared, a path the way old paths are paths, a route taken many times, a direction the ground has learned to suggest, a way between the roots that becomes apparent, Not when you look for it, when you stop looking and simply begin to move. The path announces itself to your feet, not to your eyes. You feel it as a slight easing, a gentle corridor between two vast roots, a place where the ground slopes softly down, not steep, but consistent. You move downward. The roots rise higher as you descend, arching overhead in places, creating low tunnels of wood and bark. You duck through without thinking. Your body finds the angles without instruction. Your hands touch the bark on either side. It is warm here, warmer than the outer bark was. Warmer because the earth above has held the living tissue close. The bark is damp at the edges of your fingers. The tree is not entirely frozen down here. Something, even now, even in this cold, is moving. The light dims as you go deeper, or rather, the quality of the not quite light changes. Above, the darkness had the quality of a very clear night, dark but translucent, open. Down here, the darkness is thicker, more enclosed. It belongs to deep interior places, to the undersides of things, to the world on the other side of the surface. It is not frightening. It is simply a different kind of dark, the dark of things that have been dark for a very long time, things that have no complaint about it. The smell changes. The alive green smell of the bark above gives way to something older, something that belongs to water and to darkness, something from the places where the living world meets the worlds beneath, something mineral, something cold. But cold in a different way than the cold of the plain. This cold belongs to water, water that has been sitting very still in one place for longer than you can calculate, the cold of the deepest place in a deep well, the cold of something that holds everything it has been given and gives nothing back, the well of Urðarbrunnr. You smell it or feel it before you see it, a stillness in the air, different from all the other stillnesses, different from every quiet you've known on this journey. The plain was the stillness of vast space. The bark was the stillness of things that do not need to move. This is something else. This is the stillness of deep water, contained, condensed, holding itself with a kind of intentional weight. The way water in a very deep vessel holds itself, its surface, knowing nothing of the currents below. Then the roots part, not dramatically, not suddenly, just enough, and you see the well. It is a pool, roughly circular, held within a ring of roots so old they have grown into each other at the edges. The roots and the well are one structure now. Neither can be understood without the other. The water is dark, not murky, not unclear, not the dark of something that has gone wrong. Dark the way deep sky is dark, the way the space between stars is dark, a darkness with depth, a darkness that is not the absence of something. It is the presence of something too old and too complete to need light. You can see into it, your eyes go into it and go further, and do not find a bottom. The water is perfectly still, perfectly, the kind of still that feels like it has been still since before motion existed, since before the concept of a wave or a ripple was introduced to the universe. You understand something clearly. If you disturbed this water, if the smallest stone fell from the roots above into its surface, the ripple would spread outward. Eventually, it would circle back, not in seconds, across the span of ages, moving through the dark water at the pace at which the well moves, which is the pace of fate itself, inevitable, unhurried, arriving exactly when it arrives. The well holds everything, not as images, not as things you could look at and see. It holds them the way water holds the cold, completely, without distinction, as the fundamental nature of the thing, not a property added to it. You come to the edge of the well, and you kneel. The cold of the root ground comes through your knees. It is the right kind of cold, the grounding kind, the cold that ties you to the place, that tells your body, you are here, not anywhere else. You are present, in a way that presence is rarely achieved. You look into the water is dark, it reflects back the roots above it, the faintest suggestion of sky beyond the roots, and then, when you lean slightly closer, something that might be your own face, though the face in the dark water is uncertain, not quite matching what you would see in an ordinary mirror, as though the well shows you a self that is older than the face you present to the world, a self that has been here longer and will remain here after. You do not drink. You have not been asked to drink. The well does not offer itself for drinking. The well is for seeing, for the particular seeing that comes from being very still next to something that knows everything and says nothing, for the particular stillness that arrives when you have descended far enough. All the ordinary reasons to be moving have simply ceased to apply. You kneel at the edge of the well of fate, and you rest. They are there. You do not know when they arrived, or if they have always been here. If arrived is even the right word, these beings predate arrival itself. They existed before there was a here, before there was anywhere to arrive at. They are simply here, as the well is here, as the roots are here, as the cold is here, belonging to this place, the way cold belongs to winter, the way winter belongs to the year the year belongs to the turning world. Three of them, three shapes at the well's far edge, on the other side of the dark water, not identical, each one distinct. You sense it rather than see it, each one a different quality of stillness, a different quality of attention, but all three present in the same deep way. Only things that have always been here can be present like this, completely, without question, without the slight uncertainty of things that arrived, things that might leave. Their hands are moving. This is the detail you see most clearly, or feel most clearly. Hands in motion, slow and sure, passing something between them. Threads, or something that is to threads, what the well is to ordinary water, the essential thing, the original, the version that all ordinary threads are imperfect reflections of. The weaving is not urgent. Nothing here is urgent. The hands move at the pace they've always moved at. The pace is exactly right. Everything that has ever existed, woven at this pace, everything that will ever exist, woven the same way. The pace does not vary. It does not need to. Urðr, that which was, the well is named for her, or she is named for the well, or they are the same thing. The way the oldest names are the same as what they name, not a word for something, the thing itself, speaking itself, verdandi, that which is becoming, not what is, because what is cannot be separated from what is becoming. The present moment, and the moment the present turns to past, they are not different moments. Verdandi holds the thread that is happening now, which means she holds your thread, right now, as you kneel at the edge of the well and breathe, skuld, that which shall be. Not fate as a fixed destination, not fate as a wall you are walking toward, skuld in the sense of what is owed, what is coming due, what follows from what has been, and from what is becoming, the future as consequence, the future as the shape the past and present make when they have gone as far as they can go. You can see the weaving, faintly, there, in the dark, above the water's surface. A web of threads spread across the well's opening. They reach into the roots on every side. Threads of varying thickness, varying light, some bright, the way new things are bright, some dimmed by long exposure to the air of this place, some so old they have become almost transparent. They hold their place by tension alone, their original substance given over, long since, to time. The weaving is enormous. It extends in every direction. It includes everything. Every life that has been lived, a thread in it somewhere. Every life being lived now, every life that will be lived, your thread is in there too, though you cannot find it from here. The weaving is too large, and the well is too dark, but it is there, and it is being held. This is what you feel here at the edge of the well. The Norns work their slow, steady work, and the thread of you is in their hands. It has been in those hands since before you existed. It will stay in those hands long after. The knowledge you carry through all your waking hours. You know it well, that nothing is guaranteed, that you are small in a very large world, that everything you have built could be undone, that the future is hidden from you. This has always been true. It will always be true, but here at the well, you feel it differently, not as a threat, as fact, and the fact, held properly, carries something inside it, something close to peace. Your hands are in your lap, your back is straight, without effort. Your breath has found its own depth, its own slowness. Without your help, your body has simply arrived at the right breathing for this place, the way it always does, when you stop telling it what to do, when you let it remember. The Norns do not stop. They have never stopped. The work continues through the long ages of the world, without pause, without fatigue, without the tiredness that comes from effort. For the Norns, the weaving is not effort, it is what they are. They do not work at weaving the way you work at tasks. They weave the way water flows downhill, with the full commitment of something following its own nature, toward its own resolution. You breathe with them. Slow, even, the breath of someone who has nowhere to go. The cold deepens, not suddenly, not all at once. There is a shift in the air, a change in the dark. You become aware, gradually, the way you'd notice a sound that was always there, a sound you weren't quite hearing. Something is below, far below, deeper than the well, deeper than the roots that form its walls, down through layers of stone, down through frozen water, down through the cold places where sunlight has never reached, down where the memory of warmth is so old it is barely a memory. Into the third root's territory, into the oldest of the three realms beneath, Niflheim, the mist world, the world of ice, the primordial cold that was here when there was nothing else, when the universe was still deciding between fire and ice, when the void called Gindungagap held both possibilities and had not yet chosen. Níðhöggr, the serpent, the Nora, the dragon that lives in Nastrand, the shores of the corpse land, it reaches its great jaws toward the deepest root of the world tree. It gnaws, with the patience of something that has never known impatience, something that has never had anywhere else to be, something that has been doing this single thing since the world was made. You do not see it. You will not see it. The depths are the depths. What lives there lives in a darkness that is its own world, its own completeness, not darkness as the absence of light, darkness as the presence of what existed before light was even a concept, before the cosmos had arrived at it. But you feel it, the way you can feel a great weight moving through the earth, very slowly, not the vibration of something urgent, the vibration of something enormous, engaged in steady, ancient work, a presence that is its own weather, a heaviness not of stone or water, but of age, the particular weight of something so old that weight itself has become one of its properties. And the roots hold. This is what you feel, kneeling here, at the edge of the well, the gnawing below, the roots holding, both of these things true, at the same time. They have been true, together, for longer than your mind can hold, longer than its own inability to hold it. The serpent gnaws, the tree endures. These aren't opposites the way a battle is, where one side must win. They are two parts of a process, the process of a cosmos, one that holds both destruction and endurance in the same structure, that needs both, that would be incomplete without either. The gnawing at the root isn't malice. It is not evil in any way that needs an opposing good. It is something else entirely. It is the universe's own quiet pull toward entropy, the tendency that keeps things from setting too hard, that keeps nothing so fixed it cannot eventually give way to something new. The great cycles of creation and dissolution keep turning. Níðhöggr ensures the cycle doesn't stop. The gnawing keeps the ending alive, keeps the ending always somewhere on the horizon. And the awareness of the ending, that quiet knowledge, is what makes the middle worth anything, the now, the living present, worth anything at all. You breathe in. Something mineral and very old hangs in the air. Ice and stone, and the faintest trace of something alive. Life exists, even in the deepest cold, not warm life, but alive, the particular, insistent aliveness of things made for exactly these conditions. Níðhöggr is alive, down in the dark, alive and ancient, attending to its work with absolute focus. There is no distraction down there, no interruption to manage, only the root and the gnawing and the patient, ongoing fact of a creature doing what it was made to do. Your body absorbs this knowledge. You don't need to process it consciously. It sits in you, the way the rune hum sits in you, not as thought, but as something settled into the deeper structure, something that will still be there when you wake, there when you're not thinking about it. It will do its quiet work on you, from the inside, in whatever way that kind of knowledge does its work. The gnawing continues below. The roots hold. You breathe. The cold is everywhere. You are warm inside it, a small ember, in the oldest cold in the world. This contrast isn't uncomfortable. It's clarifying. It tells you exactly what you are, exactly where you are. Both of those things are, in this moment, exactly right. You rise, not by effort, not by decision exactly, more like a thought, rising before sleep, without plan, without mechanism, simply by what you are, simply by where you are. The well has given you what you came for. There is more tree above you than below. The 9 worlds live in branches, not in roots. You haven't been there yet. You move upward, along the trunk, not climbing. Your hands find no holds. Your legs don't push. Drifting, the way mist rises from still water on cold mornings, upward along the bark. No friction, just the rising, not fast. This is the right pace for this. The bark is close enough to touch as you rise. You let your fingers trail along its surface, feeling the channels and the ridges, the furrows, the places between them. The runes pulse with a hum you cannot quite hear. They grow more distinct as you rise, or you grow more sensitive. It is hard to tell which. They hum. You feel them in your fingertips first, then spreading up through your hands, your arms, your shoulders, settling in your chest, where they join the hum already there. From when you stood at the base, with your back against the bark, the air changes as you rise. From the mineral cold of the deep roots, to the sharp cold of winter night, to something more complex, more layered, the smell of an enormous living thing, the green smell of something that has been growing without interruption, for longer than the concept of growth existed. Then, as branches begin appearing above you, something else, something that belongs to altitude, to the space between worlds, cold, clean, carrying traces of everything the branches hold, traces of 9 different kinds of air, 9 different kinds of sky, 9 different kinds of existence. They have been exchanging molecules through the same bark and sap and root for as long as the worlds have been arranged this way. The branches emerge out of the dark, slowly. First, a suggestion, A thickness in the air above you, a sense of something very large beginning, then an outline, a shape against the stars, too complex, too branching to be anything other than what it is, then, solidly, a branch, the first branch, the lowest one, beginning so far above the ground, the trunk between you and it is itself a world. The branch is as wide at its base as a road below, as wide as the midsection of a river, curving away from the trunk in a long arc, ending, far out in the dark, in a cluster of secondary branches. Too numerous and too distant to count from here. You pass through the first branches and into the canopy. The worlds are here. You feel them before you see them. Different pressures in the air, different directions, different qualities of cold and warmth, different densities of what it means to be somewhere. Then you begin to see them, faintly, at the edges of your perception, glows and shadows, qualities of light and dark, not the same dark, not the same light, the light and dark of other places, other conditions of existence. Alfheim, above you and to your left, the brightness there is finer than sunlight, older than sunlight, the light of the Losal, the light elves who live where the world never fully darkens. You turn your face toward it, your body is warm for a moment, a different warmth, not the warmth of the tree, the warmth of a world where light is always present, where what grows there has been growing in continuous light, since before the boundary was established, since before the edge of Alfheim was an edge at all. Svartalfheim, deeper in the branches, below you, somewhat, almost no visible light there, only the deep, dull glow of things made underground, the particular shimmer of metal in dark spaces. The forgers burn there, the Níðhöggr work at their craft. You feel the heat of those forgers, even at this distance. It is a different heat, different from any warmth you have known today, the heat of transformation, ore becoming metal, raw material becoming the thing it was always going to become once the right hands applied the right fire. Vanaheim, nearer now, green-lit in a way that is fuller than any green you have known in Midgard, richer, the green of a world where the boundary between living and divine is thinner. The gods of growing things have their home there. The Vanir tend to what grows and what flows. The land itself has an opinion about what happens on it. That opinion is usually respected. Jotunheim, vast and dark. It lies in a direction that is neither above nor below. Somehow, other, a world of such scale that even the branches of Yggdrasil seem small beside it. The mountains of Jotunheim are visible, even from here, shapes darker than the dark sky. Their peaks rise above the clouds. The world of the giants spreads across an immense territory. Midgard could be lost in one of its valleys, lost, and leave no trace. Muspelheim, far away, distinct from all the others, the way that fire is always distinct. Fire is distinct from everything that fire is not. A brightness, a heat, visible even across the distance and the dark. The fire world sits at the opposite end from Niflheim's cold, the world of Surt and the fire giants, the world that holds the warmth, that balances the primordial ice. Its borders are the most clearly defined of all the worlds. Fire knows its own edges. Helheim, below and quiet, quieter than the roots, quieter than the well, quiet with the particular quality of things that have finished, of journeys completed, of the question fully answered, the world of hell. Those who die ordinary deaths make their way there. The long life lived comes at last to its rest. The world of becoming gives over to the world of having been. And above all of them, barely visible, but felt with a certainty that does not require sight, Asgard, the home of the gods, the realm of the Aesir, the great hall of Valhall, the bridge of Bifrost, somewhere in the upper branches, burning with its own cold fire. Asgard at the crown of everything, holding its place above the other worlds, with the authority of what has been established longest, what holds the others in their right relation. You drift through the branches, the worlds turn around you, like lights glimpsed through leaves on a dark night, present, real, complete, visible only in fragments, only in glimpses. That is the right way to see them. Seeing them whole would require you to be outside them. Nothing can be outside them. Everything is inside the tree. Higher still, the branches thin above you. They refine and become deliberate, the way the highest parts of great trees always are, not the broad generosity of middle branches. Those spread everywhere, those hold many things, but the crown reaches upward, single-minded, extended toward the sky, the tree's own attention directed upward. The air at this altitude is very cold, very clear. Every sensation is more precise here. The cold on your skin has sharper edges. The dark above you is more purely dark. The stars between the branches are more exactly themselves, more exactly the cold, perfect, burning things they are. There's a softening that happens lower. You're closer to warm things down there, growing things, the lived heat of the worlds in the branches below. And above you, at the very crown of the world tree, immense, settled, absolutely still, the eagle, its wings are folded, even compressed against the body. They suggest a span you couldn't cross in any time that matters. The eagle is dark against the darker sky. Its stillness is different from everything else today, not the stillness of the cold, that's passive, not the stillness of the water, that's held. The eagle's stillness is the stillness of total attention. It has been paying total attention for longer than you've been alive. Its stillness comes from having seen everything visible from here, from having made its peace with all of it. Between the eagle's eyes, on the broad and ancient forehead, a wind is blowing. You cannot feel it from where you hang below. The feathers around the eagle's face move, very slightly. The eye, one eye, the near eye, the one you can see, does not blink. It watches, not you specifically, everything. The eye contains the same quality as the well below, something that holds everything within its perception, without being moved by any of it. The old stories say the wisdom passes through Ratatoskr, the squirrel who runs the trunk, from crown to roots and back again, carrying words between the eagle and the serpent, carrying each one's worst thoughts of the other, keeping the tension alive so the system does not fall into pure creation or pure destruction. And then you see him, a flicker on the bark just below you, a shape so quick, so certain of its path, it doesn't register as a form, only as a streak, the squirrel who has run this route since before anyone was counting routes. Ratatoskr passes and is gone, descended into the dark below. The eagle does not move. You hang in the highest branches. You are at the edge of the crown, close enough to see the eagle's breathing, slow and enormous, the feathers across its chest, rising and falling. It breathes at the pace of something unhurried. It does not need to breathe quickly. There is plenty of time. There has always been plenty of time. Time at the crown of Yggdrasil is different. It is not the time of Midgard. It is not the time of any other world. Here, time has expanded to hold everything that must be attended to. You watch the eagle breathe. You breathe with it. One breath for each great exhalation of the eagle. The cold air moves through you, slowly and completely. It reaches the lowest parts of your lungs. It fills the spaces ordinary breathing leaves empty. Your body loosens around this breath. Your shoulders, lifted slightly with the altitude, come down again. Your hands hang at your sides. They open. The eagle turns its head, just slightly, a movement so small you might not have noticed it, not if you weren't already in the particular quality of attention this place demands. The near eye moves in its arc. The far eye comes into view. There is a moment, brief, complete, in which the eagle's attention passes across you. You feel it, not judgment, not assessment, acknowledgement, the acknowledgement of something seen. You are here, you have ascended. You've been to the roots, and the well, and through the branches, and to the crown. All of this has been noted. The eagle notes everything in the simple, complete way, by seeing it clearly, from above. Then the eye moves on, the watching continues. The world below is vast and dark. It is full of its 9 lives and 9 kinds of existence. The eagle sees all of it. The eagle's seeing holds the seeing of all things. You hang in the crown for one more breath, one more long exhalation into the cold air of the highest point of everything. Then you begin the slow descent. You descend slowly, not retreating. The descent is not departure. It is the natural movement of someone who has risen as far as needed. You are returning to where you began, to the base of the tree, to the ground, to the level where the roots emerge from the earth. The bark is close enough to rest against. You descend the way water descends through wood, by the path that opens, at the speed the structure allows, without urgency. As you lower yourself back through the branches, back past the glimpsed worlds, you carry something with you. You did not have it when you ascended, not a thing you collected, something more like the opposite, something present inside you, but covered. The ascent has cleared the cover. You breathe more easily, not because the air is better, because something inside you has been cleared. You come to rest against the trunk again. The bark is familiar now. You know the ridge at your shoulders, the channel just to the right of your spine. You settle into it as into something waiting, not because the tree has investment in your comfort. Everything here is simply what it is. Simply being what it is, it fits. The runes hum, more clearly now, or rather, you hear them more clearly now. You've been through the well, the crown, the branches. The things between you and the rune hum have been removed. What is left is the quiet signal, the oldest knowledge in the 9 worlds, moving through the bark into the air, entering you through every surface your body presents. You do not try to understand the runes, not with your language understanding mind. That part is not equipped for this. The runes predate language. They predate the minds that built language. They predate the need for communication at all. They predate the gap between the self and the world. Language tries to bridge that gap. The runes are the world talking to itself, noting its own structure, the notation of existence, recording its own rules, recording them in the oldest living thing in creation. You receive them, not with understanding, with reception, the way a body receives warmth on a cold day, not by thinking about it, not by analyzing it, but by having the structure to be warmed, being in the presence of warmth, letting the process happen at its own rate. You receive the runes at the rate they can be received. The process is slow. The process has begun. It will continue long after you leave this place, long after you return to ordinary days. The night around the base of the tree is very quiet. No wind this deep in the root field. The roots hold the still air on all sides. The quiet is complete. You think of all the things you've seen tonight. The plain, the bark, the well, the Norns, the cold below, the worlds glimpsed in the branches, the eagle at the crown. The thinking slows, the images settle into your body. They'll be digested slowly there. They'll release their meaning, the way bark releases sap, not more, not less, only what's needed. Your weight is different now, different from when you arrived, more settled, more clearly where it belongs, here, in this body, on this ground, at the base of this tree, in this breath. The rune hum continues. Your chest receives it. The cold is becoming something else, not warmth. The cold is still the cold. It is the ancient cold of this place, unchanged, unchallengeable, but your body has adjusted completely. The difference between cold and warmth has lost some meaning. The cold and you have reached equilibrium. The way cold and bark reach equilibrium overwinters, not opposition, not defeat of one by the other, a fit, a right relation, you inside the cold around you, both existing in the same space, neither requiring the other to be different. Your breathing is slowed to the pace that belongs to this place. In, long, full, the air entering all the way down, reaching the low places, the places ordinary breathing cannot quite reach. Out, long, complete, nothing left over, nothing held back. The full exhale that is also a full release. The pause between, the small, perfect pause, lasting a little longer than usual. The body taking its time in that space, not rushing back to the in-breath, letting the stillness enter through that pause, filling the moment. The Norns are weaving somewhere nearby, in the dark near the well. The sound of their work, if it has a sound, is below what you can hear, but you feel it. The particular quality of their attention creates something, a slight density, a slight intensification. You feel it from where you sit, your back against the bark. Your thread is in those hands. It has always been in those hands. It will always be in those hands. The thought arrives without alarm. It settles without weight. Everything is exactly as it is. The serpent gnaws, far below in the dark. The eagle watches from above, cold and still. The squirrel has long since gone, out of hearing. The worlds hang in the branches, like lanterns, each one at its own altitude, each one burning its own light, each one separate, and each one connected by the same bark, the same sap, the same deep wood, the wood you have your back against, right now. And you are here, at the center, at the still point, the axis, the place around which all of this turns. You understand it, not as a thought, as a feeling, the kind of feeling that belongs to dreams, the kind that cannot be said in words, only felt, quietly, in the dark. Every warm living thing is at its own center. Every life is its own axis. All those axes are connected through the same structure, the same deep roots, the same network of living wood, running from Niflheim to Asgard and back again. You are not at the center because you are special. You are at the center because everything is. Every small, warm life, burning its brief fire in the 9 worlds, it holds its own center, its own still point, its own moment, and all those moments are held in the same tree. The rune hum has deepened, or you have deepened into it. It is like settling into a sound bath. Vibration at the right frequency enters the body. It begins to work on tensions that ordinary silence cannot reach. The runes are working on something in you, something chronic, something you have been carrying so long, so constantly, that it has become part of you. You cannot quite locate it as separate from yourself. You cannot quite reach it to let it go. The runes can. They move through the whole body at once. They reach everything. They touch everything. What they touch, they know. What they know, they release. Something releases. Not dramatically, not with anything sudden or surprising, with the quality of a breath completing, of a muscle unknotting, very slowly, over a long time, until it is simply open, simply itself, simply as relaxed as it is capable of being. Something releases in the deep structure of you, in the place where the deepest tensions live. The releasing is so slow and so complete that you barely notice it happening, and then it has happened. You are on the other side of it. The other side is quieter. The cold is around you. The bark is at your back. The roots are beneath you, spreading in all directions. They touch the roots of the three wells. They touch the roots of the deep rock. They touch the roots of Niflheim's ice, and they go down further than any of those, down to the place where the roots became the earth, where the earth became the roots. There is no longer any difference. You are being held. This is the simplest thing. Right now, this is all. You are being held by the roots beneath you, by the bark behind you, by the cold that holds everything in its great, quiet embrace. The weight of the 9 worlds presses down through the branches, through the wood, through the roots, into the earth you rest on. That pressing down is not crushing. It is the opposite of crushing. It is the pressure that makes the ground solid, that makes rest possible. You do not need to hold yourself up. The tree is doing it. Your part in this is simply to rest, to be the thing being held, while the holding continues all around you, still, just still. Your eyes close. The dark behind your eyes is the same dark as the night. You move easily between them, from the outer dark to the inner dark, from the darkness of the root field to the darkness inside your own stillness. The two darks are not different from each other, not in any way that matters. The Norns weave. Urðarbrunnr, verdandi, skuld, that which was, that which is becoming, that which shall be. Your thread moves through their hands, in the dark, by the well. It has the right weight, it goes the right way. The pattern it makes is the pattern it was always going to make. The pattern that includes this night, this darkness, this rest, this particular rest at the base of the oldest tree, this particular breath, in this particular cold, this moment of being held at the center of everything, knowing it. The world tree breathes, slowly, one breath for each long season. You are inside this breath, inside the current of it, the great slow exhalation that has been going on since before you arrived. It will continue long after you are gone. The exhalation does not need you to do anything. You are simply caught in it, carried by it, the way something very small is carried by a very large current, not fighting, not steering, simply present in the movement. Níðhöggr gnaws below, the eagle watches above. The 9 worlds burn in the branches, and at the still point, at the axis, you have stopped turning. You are the still point itself, resting so completely, so without reservation. The tree could turn around you, and you would not notice. Everything that needs attending to is attended to. You are not needed for any of it. Being not needed is the most perfect freedom. Sleep has been here for a while already. You have been in it longer than you knew. The cold, the bark, the hum of runes against your spine, the dark behind your eyes, the breath that moves without your guidance, the thread in the Norns' hands, the squirrel sleeping now, somewhere in the bark above you, curled into a warm dark hollow, resting from its endless transits. The eagle, motionless, its vigil becoming sleep, without beginning or end. The vigil and the sleep, the same unbroken quality of deep attention. Yggdrasil stands. It has always stood. It will stand long after this night is over. You will return to the ordinary world, carrying what you carry from here, the hum in your chest, the release in your shoulders, the knowledge in your bones of what it is to be held at the center of everything, to be one small warm thread in the weaving of all things, to rest at the axis while the turning continues. The tree breathes out, you breathe out. And the difference between those two exhalations grows smaller and smaller in the dark, until there is no difference at all, only the long exhalation of the world tree on a cold night at the center of everything, holding 9 worlds and one small sleeping life, with exactly the same enormous, patient, ancient ease. You drift and breathe, and the dark holds you gently.